shop a lot about Consulate, but not really as to how this map plays. And well, I usually just chalk it up to this. Consulate, out of all of the maps that we have inside of the competitive pool of maps inside of Rainbow Six, is Window Repel Simulator. And what I mean by that is that it's a lot of window work. There's a lot of angles you have to hold from those positions, and there's a lot of ways that you can abuse the map simply because of how the windows are set up around the area. Either way, though, got the bans in initially for the offense. The Thatcher one, extremely straightforward. We're playing the game on hard mode instead. Nomad, well, that goes back to the window conversation. You don't necessarily want people jumping outside and, well, trying to get in your face.
Yeah, Nomad ban makes sense, especially considering the playstyle for the Sonics. I should note that that playstyle, and that's specifically of them tending to pick towards Lion instead of Nomad, has not been so prevalent based on the way they played back in week 1, but they kind of won't have a choice here, so we'll have to see if they either go towards that or they try to bring the track stingers back into play, which is also something that they were doing on their attack back versus SSG last week. Either way, those bans are going to come in. Defender bans aligning pretty well, again, with what we've seen in the meta recently, so not too much of a surprise there. Valkyrie will get rid of those teeny tiny little cameras hiding in the corner and slowing down our attackers quite a bit. And Mira, as usual, just the dartboard for bans, and she's going to get another mark in that. So, going into the first round, no surprise, Sonics will immediately go on to the basement hold. This was their initial site last week as well. And we can also see that Lion pick immediately coming. And obviously not for the Sonics, but for XSET, as they'll also be forced into that playstyle with Nomad banned out.
Honestly, I'm kind of sad that we weren't keeping the Jackal there for Thomas. He's going to go to the Habana. I like this because he'll be able to deal with hatches, but just like what they had to offer with the Jackal-Lion combo there. But either way, that's for XSET to deal with and not for me. As for the Sonics, though, on their defense, they'll be headed to the basement very first, and they're going to be playing some very similar strokes that we've seen before on Consulate, most notably the Mute and Mozzie setups. Mute's just going to slap those Mute jammers down on the wall to hold it for as long as he possibly can, not before XSET obviously gets rid of it through piano control if they're able to actually bide for that. But it looks like this is more than likely going to be a roam setup here for the Sonics as we continue to see these players spin around, specifically yellow stairs.
We'll see what the rest of it is going to look like as the hatch going down towards the basement does get reinforced, but you'll also see that once again the Sonics will deploy an extended game all the way up to the second floor, including at least one reinforcement going down on the inside of the connector, allowing Yeti to play and support Kansan if he's going to stick around here playing towards the balcony, while also still putting some pressure onto the CEO repel. But more than likely that would be used by XSET to clear out this position, so should be strong. Obviously the overall setup is still pretty light, so more than likely this will get fallen back upon pretty quickly if a large majority of XSET try to collapse upon this, but it's a good time-wasting mechanism at a minimum.
Absolutely, and that's the name of the game, right? They want to try and dwindle down that time as much as possible and not give XSET an opportunity to get multiple chances at getting a plant down. As for XSET, looks like they're, well, directly trying to deal with the garage setup, obviously being thwarted by the Mute jammers. Super going to be holding on to yellow stairs as he will be playing the smoke inside of the site, as well as rocking that new BDS skin I just released. So make sure you guys go check out the store for all those new esports skin. Dark Zero skin looking pretty spicy as well. And if you guys didn't see the Team Secret one, oh man, almost looked as good as that pick from Creators on to Kansan. This will pick up the Jaeger upstairs.
So one member of the upstairs hold down for the count, and it's not looking like the rest of it's going to stick around. Like I said, that's probably going to get fell back upon pretty quickly after the initial death or after the call is made that they can no longer sustain it. And you still have some of them in the area, more so in the connection between the second and the first floor. You can see Yeti grouping up with Rex in here to possibly support. However, you saw it there out of the corner of your eye. That little drone spots both of them and is immediately going to force the rotate back down into safer quarters, which in this case is going to be in the site itself. An E1D charge comes out to really seal the deal and get final confirmation of those players' positions before they commit to their retreat. From the sound of that explosion, I believe that is going to be the garage panel, the first one at least getting opened up by XSET. First step of attacking this site, but still a lot more to do with regards to clearing out the hold here, specifically on the back end towards Visa. Grixer, oh man, is so close to being able to see the feet of one of the players, and there you go, even gets it for a moment. Not long enough to kill him though. Filthy survives, and we'll now be watching that window a little bit more closely.
Okay, well, Grixer going to continue to force this roam and honestly needs to keep a threat out on the field and try and deal with these XSET members bearing down onto Piano. Rexon will initially get the frag. He'll get two, actually, for his trouble. Razor now hopping into Piano, trying to assist Thomas inside a bathroom, worrying about the circled desk, but not worried about Exchange here from Grixer. He's able to take control of lobby.
No way.
Braxton on the triple kill. It's the push from Grixer, and Soniqs dice him up and slice him straight out of the map. Drip, the only one that survives for XSET, and it's not going to be too long before his main rival, Super, takes him down from pipes.
It was looking so promising for XSET as well. They dealt with the early game, like, with very little issue as well. Got the opening pick with virtually 0 damage traded for it. Really pushed back any other aggressive positions we had at that point for the Soniqs and really contained them to the rotates into the basement. That was especially true as well after the drones spotted the 2-man stack at the or at the central part of Spiral there. But it looks like something got left unchecked and allowed for the members of the Soniqs to lurk back upstairs towards console, then eventually drop into piano again to pick up that double, if not triple kill from that position and really start putting a dent in the overall execute from XSET.
Yeah, so we have Grixer's stick on Rome, right? Like he obviously starts contesting admin stairs and doing stuff like that. And then he rotates back towards grass and towards the lobby area. But the thing there that we didn't get to necessarily see is, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe Rexton rotated up bottom spiral, and that's where he started getting these frags, and he's the one who actually ended up going towards lobby. We see Grixer go for Z. They have these 2 really nice pushes where there's not really much you can do. You can only contest one angle. The opposite angle is getting shoved at the same time. That's a very difficult scenario for any player. And simply Soniqs just retaking map control, kicking every XSET member out of the building. As you were saying, I love the early control that they got. They get the pick onto the Jaeger player upstairs. There was a lot of positive things going on for them, but they completely forgot that the Soniqs had legs and can indeed flank.
Pretty much had them in a box, just forgot to lock it shut. So we'll see if
I hate when that happens.
We'll see if XSET can correct upon that. Going into the second round, obviously it's not going to be the same sites. The play for the Soniqs is going to be a little bit different. I believe we have gone to a lobby hold here now for the Soniqs, and indeed we have. So you're going to have that usual emphasis on the bathroom bunker. Super currently playing into that. Not the only position we're going to be focusing on here, though. Yeti deployed to the top of the Visa stairs, supported by another teammate on the other side of the projector room as well. We can see Yeti, though, with a very important angle. He even gets a POV on the creator as a bullet connects, but it's not the headshot that he wanted. So creators will now be aware of that, and more than likely won't be peeking from the same angle anytime soon.
Yeah, I might as well slap an ACOG on that thing. Sniper 11 all the way from short desk trying to take out the admin swing, but only is able to get a little bit of damage off onto creators. Not really anything that's going to change up a gunfight all too much, but that will give control of admin up to XSET, although Soniqs, that was the plan. Just have the initial contact, scare him a little bit, start backing things off. Yeti, though, playing in, well, one of the most important spots when it comes down to consulate, Bosco's spot, which is, well, as you said, a very risky area to play, and that's why you usually have somebody with this kit playing in this area. Shotgun, SMG-11, you're able to take a lot of different gunfights and mostly defend this top stair area, as anybody that tries to rotate through is more than likely going to lose that out.
Yeti finally going down on the second frag thrown at him there, but still succeeded in wasting a lot of time off the clock. This is just now XSET getting the all clear, and it's, to be fair, still not clear. You've got Rexon as well as one other player, Grixer, still holding this entire side of the second floor, but time has gone down to 1 minute and 10 seconds, and XSET really need to shift their focus onto getting a setup which they can push into the site with, and that seems to be drifting over towards Visa. We'll get a better picture of it in a moment. Razor has been left behind to fend off any shenanigans that may come from Grixer and Rexon, but they're still being allowed to execute upon it. Drip is going to be the first to fall from the XSET roster. That's the Habana going away, as well as any additional hard breach they would have tried to get from her. That's also their only hard breach, so if they needed it, I don't necessarily think they will. Definitely going to be a thorn in their side, especially when it comes to getting access to that projector room there, as they only have the one crawl hole into it. 37 seconds left. It's looking like Creators is ready to make the initial attempt for the push and plant, but is being held off by gas grenades.
Oh man, XSET, where is the problem solving, my friend? We've been standing here for what seems like centuries. We got to do something. Where's the push forward? Where's the bait? Where's something? Thomas still holding admin. Razor gets taken down. And Thomas with a nice exchange. Can't get the second one, though, as Grixer takes him down from connector. That's going to be a triple kill for him on the round, and they'll be able to maintain the control on the front door here directly onto creators. He's getting shot up from a multitude of different angles. He'll finally get taken down. And, well, this is post-patch Zofia. No longer can you pick yourself up. Filthy with a flank, but no time. Can't even get the kill onto the Maestro. XSET don't have the X factor to get through these offensive rounds.
Not super sure why the decision was made ultimately from XSET to try to shift away from the prioritization of the clear on the second floor. as those players still had full capability, as we saw, to harass the execute from that second floor position, regardless of if they had been cleared out or not. So that seems to have been the choice that was made there by XSET that sealed their fate in the round for me, as they just didn't really stand a chance of clearing that out with only one person kind of babysitting it to make sure they didn't push outside, but did nothing to stop them from killing players on XSET from the positions they already controlled.
Exactly. And the big thing here for XSET, like you were talking about, is just not maintaining that top clear. They got punished very often there from Grixer, but obviously that's a pretty drastic situation with the way that Soniqs have that set up upstairs. They're just trying to control the two lanes that cut through that entire top floor, that being Projector as well as Long Desk. And obviously, like, it's not an unknown situation. This happens all the time on this map, but the issue that XSET had is that they didn't have any counter angle or anything like that to try and assist them. We often talk about it inside of this game where you can run into issues where you don't necessarily have enough people for a particular job, and that comes up extremely often inside of angles in this game. You guys more than likely have it happen all the time with your friends. When you go for these one-point attacks and there's no other area that somebody has to worry about, like a cross angle from Suicide Balcony or the connector window or anything of the sort, things can get quite problematic. So it seems as though XSET really can't break up the map how they want to right now and apply the pressure on this roam game because of that. We'll see if this can be fixed inside of the next 4 rounds, but as of right now, it seems to be more of the same.
Yep, the Soniqs going towards the split site now. Heavy hold on the inside of admin, and that same somewhat extension. It's looking like pretty heavy on Projector right now, but plenty of capability to play into similar positions that they've already been doing in the past 2 rounds. But it's looking like now that they've got a lead built up for themselves, specifically Grixer, and to some extent his 2 supporting teammates as well. Maybe you want to try to get in the way of this clear a bit more actively. If they can stop the entry into admin itself, that's going to be a great day for them, as that really limits the potential execute options for XSET, similarly to what occurred just in the last round here. But you can see from XSET, there's a very large focus on making this happen regardless, as they've got 3 players currently on Repel.
There we go.
And they have found the opening frag this time. Grixer gets caught on a transition and will go down.
That's a huge pick as well. Grixer, the most influential player so far throughout this map. Yeti with a huge nitro cell. XSET not worried about the holes in the floor. Not enough drone intel inside of the site to assist, and they'll get away with the cheeky refrag onto Thomas. Drip, though, with a huge kill onto Yeti. He'll take down the mute, so no longer have to worry about that shotgun and SMG-11, as we just saw that nitro cell get burnt. But Soniqs still within their rights to try and battle back here. Yes, XSET does have top control, but still a long road ahead of them.
Good read into the situation so far here by XSET. They knew Soniqs were going to try to play a little bit more aggressively now that they've been building up a lead. And to be fair, the first 2 rounds been kind of drastic for XSET, so Soniqs had the right to play this out. But XSET was aware of that, took up very passive positions in order to abuse that. And so far, the plan has been going very, very smoothly. It's not to say it's a success just as of yet, but there we go. That may be the definitive one. Razor with a pickup against Rex, and it will be traded by Kansan. Let's see what else he might be able to find, as he can still turn this around for the team. The problem is, though, Super, the only one left that can stop this. He has to try and get in the way of Drip's plant, but it's gone down in the basement. When did Drip even come down here? Super's going to show up to the site, very confused all of a sudden, and him and Kansan have no choice but to rotate back down. From the looks of it, they have absolutely no information about what's going on down here, and that's incredibly dangerous for the defensive retake.
You'll never guess what happened. Drip walked in, popped the hatch, and planted right at the door. That's exactly how he ends up getting inside. He gets the first one as well, as Kansan tries to swing in. It's all up to Super. He's got to worry about the hatch, but Drip has the cross as well. It's a triple for him and a plant. MVP on XSET's first offensive round here that they're finally able to muster, and a lot of heads-up plays there for him. Able to pick up Yeti, get that hatch open, get the plant down. Lots of solid play coming out of Drip there.
That's the same issue with that extended early game for the Soniqs that they were also struggling with against SSG, where they were finding themselves losing players too often, pulling off these risky roams without really much results to show for it. I'm not going to judge it too hard here, right? Because that's the first round it's gone wrong. But the question now becomes, how do they rein it in? As obviously, XSET has some idea how to control it here. So now that they're returning back to the sites where they already found success, time to see if they can repeat that, with XSET obviously having some greater knowledge about how to counter out at least the early game from the Soniqs.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when it comes down to Consulate, we expect one of the bomb sites to go awry when it comes down to it. Usually it's split, but we've seen some pretty solid split defenses so far ever since it got implemented, and they continue to get better and better with time. For the Sonics, though, as you said, they're headed back towards basement to something that's a little bit more rudimentary, and I can't necessarily blame them. They're trying to stack as many of these defensive rounds as possible. So this downstairs setup more than likely going to be the meal ticket they need in order to get that done, especially with how this has went so far for XSET on these clears. The Sonics have been very abusive on these late rotations. That previous round, a lot different in the way that Sonics wanted to play that out. We saw Grixer getting very aggressive inside of admin, but I think they're going to dial it back just a touch.
Well, let's see if that ends up being true for the squad here. XSET once again with some heavy priority going on to the admin clear in the first couple of seconds, and that's going to follow through as it's not looking like there's anyone on the Sonics that can immediately contest that. They're much more focused on denying access to the top yellow as well as projector rooms, as we already saw the last time this was defended. Thomas and Filthy already droning in to make sure they're safe to swing. They'll get the all clear. Creators on the entry, and so begins the action for XSET as they take that initial control for themselves and start to work through the rest of this building. Long way to go, though, if the previous site defense here is any indication. And XSET have to hope they have a better picture about how to handle this game, specifically inside of projectors. This was the main area where they got slowed down last time.
Well, they did handle Yeti quite well, especially with the clear over the top of the reinforcements, able to take him out with the frag grenade, but looks like they'll have to do this in different fashion this time around. Creators launching the impacts, ends up concussing himself, so he'll have to back off into short desk for the time being, but the Sonics more opt to wait here than anything, and you can't necessarily blame them. They are able to deny so much or delay so much time across the board here, as XSET are still setting things up to be able to hold on to these staircases. They still have 1:30 though, so it's not all doom and gloom, but they still have to worry about these Sonics members spread throughout the entirety of this map. Kansan's still upstairs inside of Cubby right now. He has an opportunity to try and catch one inside of Connector, but doesn't seem like that's going to go his way. Instead, he will regroup with Grix, and they'll start working their way towards bathroom where Yeti lies.
So this is going to be a 3-man stack now inside of an entirely soft bathroom. The hatch is reinforced. Now, the interesting thing is there is a mute jammer blocking off the door, and you got to give credit to Yeti for that. Yeti actually picked that one up when he realized the pressure and projector was going to be a bit too much to handle about 5 seconds before, and got it out of there. Here's going to be the issue with the stack, though. They've got nothing to play around, and this is what I was worried about. Somebody's got to sit out the open and take that initial fight. In this case, it had to be Kansan. Kansan gets absolutely nothing done. Super trying to actively contest towards the front of the garage panels, but can't get that job done due to a nade coming his way. He's forced back, but he can still delay with those toxic babes. How exactly is the 2-man team playing around bathroom going to help out with this, though? That's the question, and here's the answer. Yeti and Grixer immediately with 2 pickups. Creators to exchange onto Yeti. Can he now find Grixer as well? No! Grixer gets him through the soft panel. Trades out on a Creators. 2 attackers left in the play. Now 1 as Super stops the first push, and now is the case. Down Filthy won't even get close as he stopped outright inside of the cafeteria, and yet another round goes into the control of the Sonics.
Okay, you know what? Honestly, these rounds for the Sonics are really telling the story of what happened over that last week. I just don't think that they were not necessarily ready, but I just don't think that they were in the proper headspace to try and take it to the Sonics or try and take it to SSG inside of that matchup. That was quite a back and forth as well with the way that SSG was playing Consulate that day. But we're gonna have a timeout here by XSET as we'll be taking the timeout on round 5. Pretty smart, honestly. Still have 2 rounds to go on their offense. They'll get the mental reset and see if they can tie things up here. But either way, though, the Sonics looking a lot more comfortable as to where they are right now. Just playing extremely well together. That mid-round shift there, especially from Yeti, a really, really big deal. That's one of those things that we talk about those mid-round adjustments where, you know, you might see something the offense is doing. You're like, hey, why don't we just do this? And it, you know, was pulled off with flying colors. Able to get Grixer a lot of frags there. Yeah, Rexon, not the greatest, you know, Jaeger exchange when it came to playing Antichamber, but it happens every once in a while to everybody. So,
I mean, yeah, we had 3 people in the room at that point.
And that's
somebody was going to be on an awkward position.
Yeah, well, as you were talking about before, this is what I love that you said, is somebody had to do it, right? But the reason that they had to do it wasn't only because 3 people inside a bathroom is stupid, but also is because he even trades himself, right? If he dies instantly like he did right there, they still don't think that a bunch of people are around bathroom. They think he's like the only guy there. They have no insight as to what's going on inside, nothing at all. And that's why when Grixer gets the following kill, they're just shocked that Yeti's there too. They're like, hey, we killed the mute, and then Grixer shoots him right through the wall, because who puts 3 people inside of antechamber and stalls? It just doesn't happen. So Soniqs catch XSET off guard and get away with that round. And past that, great setup inside of sight as well for the Soniqs. Super is playing lights out right now with the smoke.
Good news and bad news for the Soniqs. Bad news being they can't pull off something like that again necessarily, as it'll be very much expected by. Except the good news is they don't have to worry about it, as that site's going to be locked away for the rest of this half. 2 more defenses coming in here for the Soniqs, and a possibility to solidify a very strong half for themselves on what is usually a pretty defender-sided map. Now for XSET, obviously, they need to try and find some footing here past the 1 round they already have. 1 to 5 is certainly not impossible, but it's definitely not a situation XSET more than anyone want to be in, given their history in the league. There's not a lot of hope for me personally to see a comeback happen if the scoreline ends up being that detrimental. We'll have to hope that they can piece themselves together, for me at least, inside of this round and the next.
Okay, so off of the Ash for Razor over to the Yana. So want some more information. Yeti's going to continue to run the Mute Jammer, so that could be a thorn in the side of that game plan. But overall, though, they have everything necessary in order to lock up Suicide Balcony and these other areas that they're scared that Soniqs members might try to push through. But the biggest issue as of right now is, well, what the Soniqs have been able to produce on their roam game. They've been continually able to get the lead off picks and translate that into some amazing mid-rounds. We'll see if they're able to do it again, as they will be holding the basement, actually, with these nitro cells. And this is actually a pretty creative thing that you can do, tossing those up through the hatches to deny default plant. But we'll have to see if they want to try and hightail it down there later on.
Razor already in a bit of a rough spot due to, I believe, playing against Super here, but there we go. There's the trade back. Razor saves his own life by killing the one who threatened it. Super goes down, only with that damage onto Razor to show for it. Hopefully someone will be able to pick him off a little bit later in the round. First time we're going to see the Soniqs fall behind in a disadvantaged situation in quite some time as well here. But it's no surprise, you know, in the Soniqs playstyle to see them kind of doubling down on this from the looks of it. Kansan committing himself to circle another player. Yeti, it appears, going into bathroom to take the place of his teammate. This is not going to work because there's track stingers outside, so they won't be able to make that run, unfortunately. And they'll have to pull back pretty quickly. But I like the idea from the Soniqs. This was already thought about by XSET there.
Yeah, indeed. You got to put those track stingers somewhere, am I right? But at least they're able to, like, swing off the door now. That's the biggest thing. I was expecting the Maestro to just go for a swing there and see if he could possibly pick somebody off, but it was not the case. Soniqs not wanting to overextend themselves, and you can't necessarily blame them, as they're already down Super. That's a big player with a lot of utility to be able to delay. So the longer that they're allowed to delay XSET just naturally is better for them, as long as they're able to stay on top of these nitro cells and can consistently hold on to these angles. But lots of damage coming in now. Razor with a possibility to take down another one inside of stalls. He's still on very, very low HP and obviously can't get reset. So he'll be stuck on that one for a while, but they're more than likely going to have to exchange him out for somebody else, at least case-wise, but he'll get taken down instead. Soniqs, though. Grixer upstairs inside of Long Deaths. The Soniqs starting to battle back. Yeti gets one. Kansan gets the other. Kansan gets two. Big frags coming now for Soniqs as, well, XSET not anywhere to be seen. Filthy's locked up inside a piano. He get taken down on Blacktop. It's all up to Drip, the captain now, to try and hightail it into sight, but he's trying to fight back against Grixer. He can't get the shots to land. The pistol whip will do it for the Soniqs, as these defenses are coming in flying colors.
Once again, what appears to be an insistence from XSET to focus on the site clear over the roam clear comes back to haunt them, as those players upstairs are barely touched or have anything thrown at them up until that final minute or so, when it's a necessity for XSET to pull that off at that point, due to the fact they're unable to get pressure going anywhere else, specifically inside of Piano, where they spend a large majority of that round on Repel, trying to deal with the setup in there, but again, not coming up with much. So one more round here for XSET to try and make an impact, but Soniqs are looking strong. We are going to go over towards the split site, where they have had issues, and XSET have been able to claim their only rounds so far, however. So there's still an opportunity for them to get back on the board here.
The most powerful 6-pick ever procured here by
Yana
XSET.
to Yana.
The Yana to Yana double hologram. Double hologram setup here for XSET, but no. It looks like they're going to be going back to similar things like I've seen them use all day today. Nothing too crazy. Creator's still on the Zoe. Thomas is going to have the sledge. Filthy sticking to the gridlock. Drip, though. This is the big one here. Coming back with the X-Kairos on Habana. We saw him have a pretty unique play here. The last time on the split site where he was actually able to get into admin, pop the hatch, drop down into the basement level, and get a plant right inside of the archive door. So we'll see if something unique happens like that. Again, you don't get that all the time, especially inside of competitive Rainbow Six, where a plant is just going off into the portion of the map that no one truly knows. So we'll see if he's able to get it done. But either way, XSET with one more opportunity to try and get an offensive round, and it's quite the big deal when it comes down to it.
Rexon did have a lineup just a little bit too early, unfortunately, as Thomas had to check it with a drone first anyway. I'm not sure if that happened because of the pre-fire, if Thomas was going to do that regardless, but there's a what-if question for you to watch back on the VOD. Either way, XSET with that expected early pressure to work its way into admin. Just as much, we have the active contestation coming in, but this did not work last time from the Sonics. In fact, they lost a lot of players due to this and overextended themselves, which is what opened up the possibility for the basement sneak plan to happen for XSET in the last round in the first place. So let's see to make sure that the Sonics don't make the same mistake twice. Nitro is out this time and is not going to sing true, however, as XSET expected it and had positions set up on Repel to avoid that very Nitro cell. Good read so far from them. Now they can start to get a bit more aggressive themselves here, as they've also got someone on Repel towards Copier. Rexon has to pay full attention for the most part to that now in order to make sure that his teammate in admin itself remains adequately supported. The problem is, though, the utility just as strong from XSET right now. Razor finishes off Yeti on the inside, and Rexon can't really stick around any further here without the additional support of his teammate watching admin itself. So he has to fall all the way back to console and play with the other two players holding up here.
Man, I would rip Yeti to shreds right now if I didn't just look to the right-hand side of the screen and see that there's literally one drone alive for the entirety of XSET halfway through this. Literally one drone done. They have nothing. They have nothing at all. Filthy's on his last drone right now, and when that drone's gone, it's over. It's done. They have no info, all except for Razor, and his Hollow is dead right now, and that's a 30-second cooldown, if I remember off the top of my head, for when it gets shot. So this situation right now for XSET, although they have the man advantage, they do not have the round lead, guys. This is not going the way that you think it is. The Sonics still well within their right to take this one. XSET have control of admin. They're going to begin to work this top angle. They'll at least be able to break some things up and at least start barreling down onto different areas to take these gunfights, at least hold space, but they're not worried about anything that's attached to this area. Grixer gets one, he's aware of the other one inside of sight. He can't get the second onto Drip, who lands a nice shot and begins to plant inside of Tellers. Razors with the second. Drip halfway through this plant now, and they can't stop it. Super simply sees him. They don't have a Nitro cell, and they can't get it done. It's Razor on the entry, the fresh CL player with the triple kill to bring XSET back when they needed it most. Super now, inside of the 1v4, not very much info to work with as he'll get taken down from Filthy, holding Spiral Stairs.
Might not have had drones, but they certainly had the entry capability there. XSET getting it done with only one drone in their pocket to provide intel nearly threw them off, as we saw from the initial lurk against their play to try and get the plant down on the upstairs site, but quickly recontained control over the situation, and more importantly, didn't over-aggress into parts of the map where they weren't obviously going to be able to get great intel. They just played into a box setup, and it works perfectly for them. The Sonics not able to fight back against that, and as such, lose a second round on the split site. To be fair, the only site they do lose, but they do drop it twice over the course of that half, setting up a 4-2 scoreline. Now the Sonics go on to the attack, and they need 3 rounds more to try and close this down.
Such a strange round there in between these two. Obviously, the info game, what we talked about, mostly focused on for XSET, as to what was going on inside of the mid round there, just couldn't get any insight as to what was happening. So they're going to have to face check everything, which isn't necessarily the greatest thing in the world, but it works for them. I think the biggest thing there is that the Sonics are able to procure that lead, although obviously losing Yeti, but they're not able to get a single stop on the plan. It didn't seem like they had the utility prepared in order for, the XSET to actually be working their way into sight. I think, honestly, XSET ended up catching them off guard. They didn't catch Grixer off guard, obviously, as he got that initial kill, but they caught the rest of the Sonics off guard. No Nitro cells, no Echo drone in the proper placement. There was just a lot of things there that weren't set up for the Sonics to try and battle back against the plant.
Taking a look at what the Sonics are bringing to the table, not too surprising overall, with the main thing being that we see the usual switch from them that they personally choose to go for, which is to swap out the Sledge for a Buck. Aside from that, though, bringing the usual Hard Breach there on Super to deal with the Garage Panel, Kansan, well, Zofia, as well as Rexen on the Ashe, just your two usual mainstays. Ashe, obviously not so much in recent times, but still popping up in this specific composition. And then you've got Yeti playing the intel game there on Sam Fisher with the Argus Camps.
Yeah, so amazing utility across the board here from the Sonics, and this is what I expected, especially out of the Sonics camp and Joe Bro, and how he usually ends up handling the squad with their lineups and things like that, and how the squad thinks about it overall. They really like these kinds of things where you have utility to just cover the whole map, especially with Sam Fisher on a map like this, where you're going to be dealing with those rotates and have to worry about a lot of different avenues that the defense can take to get in your face. So this is going to help out with that a lot, especially with the secondary Gone 6 launcher, as well as secondary Hard Breach on that character nowadays. So just makes it really easy to slot him on in, especially in a lineup like this with everything you could possibly want to clear out Consulate.
Some scattered bits of extended play here for XSET right now, most notably creators moving around the building quite prominently. We can see Thomas, of course, in his position inside of that bathroom right there, but probably going to be some time before he's flushed out by the Sonics. They still have that extra 40 seconds or so before they really need to start focusing on the site clear. At that point, it would certainly be prudent to deal with the threat inside. Rexen, though, helping out with the soft destruction game by using those breaching panels as well. Creators also looking for an opportunity to be aggressive, obviously from the opposite side of the map. It's still some angles that could be found if Thomas tries to play with him. They're very split right now, though, so it's going to take a moment for this to really line up towards anything. Thomas specifically already revealing the fact that he's gone up towards the doorway. That was already drawn the ire of Yeti and probably one other member from the team too. Also, you can see that yellow ping. They know about the flank from Creators now, and I'm not even sure if Creators knew he got droned or not. I think he heard it, but he hasn't seen it yet. As you can tell, he kind of backs up, goes into the corner there to play a bit more safely. But, I mean, either way, they're still out there. They're still in the way to an extent. It's just how much is that extent going to play into the push now, because Sonics only have 45 seconds left. Those threats have not been dealt with, and they now need to be mitigated as the rest of the team tries to push into the site.
Well, not going to be able to get the hatch. Grixer ends up getting taken down by Yeti. Rexen with the frag, and this is exactly what I thought was going to happen. They're able to set this thing up right before 30 seconds and start breaking these walls down. The left-hand panel open on the garage. Drip getting stunned out. He'll be holding on to White Van for as long as he possibly can. Doesn't have a nitro cell anymore, so he's just going to have to contest with this rifle as much as possible, but he's starting to take damage here before Super takes him down. Smokes out from the thermite. He needs to get this plant down as well. It's up to Razor to try and battle back. He'll get 2, make it 3 there as the double kill comes out inside of that scenario. Still has the Alda looking for the stop here. Knows that the man's planning White Van. He's got plenty of ammo to try and do this, but Rexen so very forceful. The guy's dynamite when it comes to the entry ability here. Floods into kitchen, is able to take down the last player on the bomb chassis. Amazing round there from the Sonics. Cool, calm, and collected.
Very much so, and just really going through the motions for the Sonics there. For the problem for XSET is, I mean, where's the proactivity? There's none of it from what I can see.
Can I be honest with you? It's what the analyst desk said earlier, John. Or actually, no, it's not what the analyst desk said earlier. It's what England said on Twitter earlier. XSET is going through a rebuild thing right now. They're trying to figure out, like, what is their identity? What are they doing? And there's these new ideas that they more than likely are tossing around and trying to do. But when the new idea goes wrong, all of a sudden they fall back into their old ways and their old antics. And obviously, as we all know, that doesn't bode success either. So it now presents this issue where, do you stick with the new playstyle and just try and figure it out? Or do you go back and just, you get stuck in this conundrum, right?
Well, we'll have to see if XSET can work their way out of this conundrum. They're going to be reattempting the same site hold. The big worry for me is the fact that they kind of just sat there and let it happen, as far as I could tell. Especially the extended players that were, you had that set up between, I believe, was Creators and whoever was playing to the inside of the bathroom there, where they're kind of just waiting for Sonics to make a move against them, but Sonics never really have to do it. The positions aren't a direct threat to their execute, and they had the manpower at that point to just commit someone on the flank watch for them. As we saw in the case of Creators specifically, he got droned out, and I think he ended up rotating back, through the Visa stairs to help out, ultimately just getting finished off in the team fight. So situations like that where XSET don't really seem to be trying to do anything to get over the disadvantage they're put into, that makes me question what's going on the moment-to-moment basis in these rounds.
Yeah, I think especially with what's been going on inside of the bathroom, that's the biggest thing, right? Because the Sonics, when they held this with Yeti, he played it for a while by himself after he initially rotated, but then the rest of the Sonics members come to assist him. And you and I talked about how that was a really, really good situation for them because it catches XSET off guard. You don't think that there's going to be 3 people playing around this area. As for XSET, though, they only have 1 member, and you can't give up that space. They kind of have to force their way into you because you know they're holding that opposite angle if you're Thomas sitting inside of the stalls as Ella, right? So it just makes a very big problem because you no longer are really an issue to deal with. Like, yeah, you can try and drop the hatch and get some assistance in that way, but right when they blow that garage panel, you are a sitting duck dropping that hatch. As long as they're able to hold onto the door, it's going to be no problem. And the Sonics cut the map up perfectly inside of that last round, especially with what they were doing around the lobby area and the drone setup over towards the back of the map. But now the Sonics here to try and push themselves up onto map points. Sitting at 5-2 right now in between these two. XSET still, well, within their right to rotate around the map, it seems. They're going to go all the way up the admin stairs, see if they can possibly get a flank off here. Looks like XSET still want to continue to hold onto the bathroom as well, as Thomas will be doing what he was doing the last time, but this time around with Echo.
I do like what we're seeing from XSET here, trying to put that additional pressure onto the Sonics, keep them guessing, keep them in an unexpected position. But yeah, Kansan already so far forward. There's still something that could come out from XSET, most notably from Razor because of his position over the hatch. Creators as well, with a proper work down the spiral stairs. This is not awful to say the least here, but once again, it's a question of how they utilize these positions, which the last round just wasn't really done that well, unfortunately. Super with some struggles working into the garage, though the panel is open, but here's now those struggles. Kansan, does he have the trace to finish off Razor? He's already found Creators. Razor seems to have dodged his own death, if only temporarily. Oh no, he actually goes down on the fall there, and yet he just finishes him off. But either way, that's another one down for XSET. Sonics now with the player advantage. Thomas tries to cut one of them off through a panel, but it doesn't work. Yeti now takes down Drip, falling back down to the basement. Thomas has his head on a swivel trying to find something to shoot at, but he just can't get it done. He might actually deny the plant right here. Kansan actually killed his teammate. Right. Thomas, knife it!
Thomas, kill him, please! No!
Well, Stokes, it's your turn to cast now. I'll let you take it.
I can't cast, John. I can't cast. Oh, my... Oh, that was so poor. I don't even know what else to say. I feel so bad for XSET right now, John, because this isn't even like, you know, a game anymore. It's just like insult to injury. There's like rubbing salt in the wound as they clear this map. I can't even talk. That's how crazy this stuff is right now. You know, well, minus Thomas's little thing right there, because it really doesn't even matter, right? You just bump into him and smoke. This is a little funny. That's about it. XSET's hold across the whole map, very poor. It's what we were talking about previously with how Sonics are breaking things up. They have the deep cut upstairs for Kansan inside of stalls. Not a single person is going to look into that because they have no insight into it. He'd been standing there, I'm pretty sure, ever since they had even rotated up the admin stairs.
30 plus seconds.
Yeah,
easily.
exactly. So he's just simply standing there waiting for the rotation across the map. And then the other counter that they have to that is if you try and leave the top area and get away from Kansan, Yeti's sitting at the front door with arms wide open waiting for you to drop down a hatch. So they just simply have that entire portion of the map diced up to where you cannot properly like move through the area. It's just extremely difficult for XSET right now because, I mean, I hate to say it, but they're just throwing stuff at the wall and hoping that it sticks, John. There's no real like force behind it in the sense of utility usage and like true thought process. It's just an adjustment in the round. They're like, yo, we're gonna try this and hope that it works, and it doesn't.
And that's obviously nothing against the Sonics, you know, for playing the hand that was dealt them. They're doing a fantastic job of reading XSET like a book, especially in the 2 rounds we've seen played out on the attacking side so far. These 2 attacking rounds have been incredibly clean from the Sonics. So I'm personally not too confident on this one going beyond this round, but let's see if XSET has something else to show us. So they finally have moved away from that initial site choice, going over towards Split now, where they can lean a bit more into their roam game. For those who are watching the analysis desk segment, you heard them talk about how during CL in this map, they were often pretty prominent with those defensive roam games. Haven't really had a chance to see that yet. Could see it come out now, though. Razor with 1. Oh, no! He had a target. He just misguessed where it was. Looked the wrong way. Could have had a 2-piece, but it'll have to suffice for the 1-for-1.
Yeti died and immediately got back on cams. He was like, well, I was doing that job anyway. So
It's like back to the Argus. Grixer with nice find as he does catch Filthy trying to claw on the floor. I think trying to get the exact same angle against Grixer. Quite obviously, Grixer comes out on top of that fight. We go down to a 4v3 with the Sonics having the advantage again.
it's like how long your break feels when you're at 9 to 5. You know what I mean? It's like you're off for like 15 seconds. Like, well, back to work. Got to push the gridiron. Anyways, XSET. Well, down a man here. Still have a lot of opportunities, though, especially for Thomas's sake. He can get some big plays to go off here on flank. That would be the best thing to possibly happen to them. They have admin control. He's got a lot of space to work with upstairs, and not a single Sonic member, at least from our vision, in that top area to try and be a nuisance. As for this bottom level, though, it looks like Grixer is going to try and be forceful with this area. Has to worry about one sitting inside of the corner here. It's going to be Creators. The breaching shard is going to go off and clear up that barbed wire and mute jammer. He's just going to simply slink back into lockers here. They want to try and delay as much time as possible. And not only that, Creators cannot go 1-for-1 here. He needs a big play. Otherwise, the Sonics more than likely end up on top yet again.
Slow play now here. Obviously, the Sonics don't want to make a mistake in this situation. Only up by a single player. They know there's still utility like that alive on the XSET side. They want to try and bait it out before fully committing. Now, they've done that job for the most part already. Creators using his Nitro Cell there with no damage is a pretty big win for the Sonics. You only have Drip with the last remaining one. This will be especially true if they try to rotate upstairs, but it's not looking like that. Creators with a good catch, though, as Grixer's the first to aggress and gets caught. Drip pulling off the same thing against Rex, and XSET are holding on. Creators with another find also leaves just a lonely Kansan alive, and he's so far detached from this action, it's going to be tough for him to get anything done here in a 1v3. He's coming in fresh to the building with only 20 seconds left. As you can see, not the greatest amount of intel about Thomas's position either, so he's able to leverage that final kill under his control and finally put a defensive round on the board for XSET.
XSET are able to get it to go off, but it was mostly Creators inside of lockers, able to hold it down back and forth in between angles, getting pressure from security as well as kitchen. All the utility in the world being thrown at him as well, but no frag grenades for the side of the Sonics. Didn't have anything there to actually chuck at him to force him out of that area. Instead, he just gets to play it close back and forth and ends up winning quite a few gunfights there. Drip coming in as well as Thomas to pick up their frags for that round, but still a long road ahead of them, and 6 picks coming in across the board. Thomas moving away from the Echo onto the Jaeger for lobby press, as well as Super moving away from the Thermite and picking up Gridlock.
Yep, going to be on the first floor hold here, so not a huge necessity for hard breach coming into this round unless you really need to deal with specifically like the bathroom setup or something on the upstairs hold, but it's absolutely not a necessity for attacking this site. They're going to bring that extra rotate denial in the form of the track stingers on Super instead. This was also used by them quite a bit. They played against SSG, so there'll be no strangers to incorporating this into the attack, just as XSET was doing on their own attacking half against this site.
Okay, well, XSET have to go flawless throughout these rounds. That is going to be 4 in a row if they are able to do it. XSET now with the lobby defense that we've been talking about. This top floor is going to be a very, very big deal when it comes down to it, and that's why XSET are dedicating so much utility up here. Seems like Drip could be playing a pretty forward position here inside of CEO, as he will reinforce the single panel, so could see some things going down with that. But besides that, everything else fairly straightforward. Mute jammer down for the projector reinforcements, and simply everyone playing their positions as of right now. No forward position over towards short desk or anything to try and combat this admin entry.
So let's see how this opening minute or two of action goes, as the Sonics will try to clear out the extended game from Trip and Creators. You still have other players that can rotate up and assist these two if needed, but they will be your mainstays and will have to be the players that have to make the correct decision about it, when to play this out and when to call for the fallback, because more often than not, we've been seeing the Sonics take control of this situation and kill those players before they can safely retreat to the site. Sonics are always going to play things a little bit more slowly themselves after the events of the previous round. Not only that, but this is another new site that they haven't attacked against XSET just as of yet here, so they might need to analyze things for a moment and see what exactly they're working against and obviously what the correct procedure needs to be on a moment-to-moment basis for dealing with this setup. XSET with virtually no pressure against them, though, continue to wait this out. You can see some bits of their utility being dealt with, but that's all the Sonics are making progress on at this point.
Well, the Sonics have gotten their platform to work off of. We'll see if they're able to spring or if they fall flat. So they're working their way from east to west. Very traditional clear here for Consulate, but very untraditional means when it comes down to it. A smoke to cut up the hallway there, denying line of sight, but Thomas going to have the audio cue for what's happening on Spiral as of right now. A drone out, more than likely going to find him, and it will, so he'll have to go find some safe harbor downstairs as the Sonics continue to break up the map and make it impossible to try and come through these avenues.
They already have a near full pinch onto lobby right now with the positions they have. The only thing they have to watch is Thomas, but with him just popping back up again, if they've got a preset drone somewhere in piano, they're already going to know he's no longer a threat towards Spiral, so someone will just have to commit to a flank watch there, and they can probably go for it, obviously minding the action that would be occurring coming in from a different portion of the map, mainly the rotate from the bathroom there. But either way, 50 seconds left. Need to see them start working their way in, and that's a great start. The Creators responds just in kind. Kansan also with another pickup here brings the advantage back under the control of the Sonics. They'll also start their first plant attempt. 2 more players down on the ground. Filthy with the Hail Mary Nitro, and it gets shot out in the middle of the air. No implosion to come, or explosion, excuse me, to come from that. Filthy now on a 1v4 with an SMG-11. The GG has already been called by Rexen. Probably correct, but
I mean, it's probably
not to be
correct,
mean,
probably right. But hey, you know, Filthy inside of a 1v4, he's got opportunities, John. You know, he's got a fine credit score. He might be able to go get a loan right now or something. You know, just go to the front desk, see if you have any problems. He's going to wide swing here for Spiral. Finds one. The SMG-11 shot's not hitting, but he's going to down himself with an impact instead. Kansan, pick yourself up, buddy. You're looking a little dirty down there on the floor, but not enough time for Filthy to do much. He's going to get pinched finally from Super. The captain of the Sonics puts a dagger in the heart of XSET, and Drip not able to find the win that he wants so desperately up against this squad. It's 7-3 for Sonics here on Consulate.
And the Sonics take solid control of another matchup, rebounding after a bumpy first week on this very same map versus SSG, now claiming their first victory of the stage against XSET, who are still looking to improve on a lot. And that message needs to be set home very clearly so. They struggled just as much in their own previous week matchup. Now we need to see what's next for these guys. What do they need to go back to the drawing board again to work on for whatever their next match will be?
Yeah, there's a lot of things for XSET to really focus on, right? There's a lot of learning to be done, and I think the biggest thing right now is it really doesn't feel like they have an identity inside of their play, John. I think it's something that's going to come with time, and Stage 2 could definitely assist them with that, but it feels like as of right now, for XSET going into the rest of the field that's currently inside of the NAL, they're definitely down. There's a lot to be done when it comes to trying to contest any of these teams.
I think the saying of them having an identity extends to a lot of you know, kind of specific instances of their gameplay as well. Like I said, the one round that really got me a little upset was where we saw them sit with really valid angles to try and work against the basement take on the inside of that bathroom position, as well as what they had working over from Tellers, and then just not really doing anything with it, just kind of sitting there waiting the time down, hoping their opponents walked into them, and that never really happening. In fact, them being fully aware of the situation, and we saw something happen the round after that where they had that deep cut flank in the upstairs bathroom to cut off the late flank that they tried to pull against them. So it's just a lot that really needs to be worked on right now for XSET, and it's starting to become a question of when are we going to see that, because we needed to see it a long time ago and it hasn't happened as of yet.
No, it hasn't, and honestly, it's been quite a struggle for them, but obviously, new coach in, new player in Razor, he didn't look too bad today. I mean, John, I really don't have too much more to say about this, man. XSET, kind of sad as to what happened today, but Sonics with a big win here on Consulate. That's going to do it for us, though, folks, on the desk for today, but we still got an analyst desk that we got to pitch to right now, so we will see you guys all tomorrow, at least John and I will, whenever we cast those games. But hey, Veli, I think this part's yours.
Hi, Yeti. How's it going? All right, thank you for the throw, Sam and Blue. Great casting, by the way. But yeah, the Sonics were definitely preying on XSET's downfall, and they got exactly that. We saw a really dominant performance once again. Today is National Blowout Day in the NAL, by the way, fellas. So Yeah, time to celebrate.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it seems like XSET caught the wrong end of the blowout bug. 4 teams only able to scramble together a combined, get this, 7 rounds between them. That is insane. XSET getting 3, which ain't bad. It's the most that any one of the losing teams today has been able to scrape together, but it's still really, really terrible in the context of everything else. I'm getting there, Vela. Give me a second. Yeah, it's not looking good for XSET. 2 straight games, nothing going right.
Yeah, I mean, really, it was those garage defenses. They couldn't win a single one of them. That was like the nail in the coffin. Their attacks weren't amazing either for the side of XSET, so really unfortunate. They seem like they've got a lot of work still to put into this team. I hope that we see like a better side of them at some point because, you know, they're great players, but it's not their day today.
Thank you so much, fellas. But I'm gonna have an interview with my man Yeti right now, Alexander Lawson. You had a big win. I have to ask an honest question. How's it going, man? The game plan against XSET, what was the prep like?
I mean, it's best of ones. There's not a whole lot of prep to do for teams, especially when you kind of get past that first game point. You can definitely prep for like the first opponent you play, but you know, it's not a lot of prep because, you know, if they change something on their fly or on their end, then you just have to adapt. So we just go into it, doing what we do and looking to be the better team in adaptation and just outplaying them.
Okay, so play day number 1 and 2. Last week you guys played against Space Station Gaming. You had a 4-7 loss, right? We weren't able to speak to you guys after that. Finishing top 2 in NAL stage 1, that was impressive, but you guys, that's not the end goal. You guys want to be on top. After a loss like that to start off all of stage 2, what did you and the team work on to just be better and be this good?
Honestly, we focused heavily on communication and adaptation in this week of practice, you know, focusing on if people throw some weird stuff at us, trying to adapt to that on the fly in scrims rather than just kind of going through the motions. So that way people, you know, do throw some weird bands at us or whatever, we'll have a little bit a lot easier time adapting and overcoming any challenges from new teams.
Yeti, I want you to be honest with me. Dig a little deep inside of your team right now. From E United to stage 1 to stage 2 here right now, we've seen leaps and bounds with you individually and the rest of your team on the Sonics. What has been the biggest hardships you guys have faced, and what are you most happy about when it comes to you guys just being better? Because this team, you guys, there's a lot of hope and promise with you all.
I think a hardship of any team is to be stay consistent, especially when you have a good finish like top 2. Obviously, you want to win, so you're always pushing to repeat that. But it's never easy, no matter how easy you make it look. So it's always about staying consistent and trying to stay at that level for as long as you possibly can. Obviously, our biggest goal at the end of the day is to make invitational. These stages are really important to us also, but you know, you perform these, you make invite, that's how it's going to go. So again, that's the main goal.
I better see you there too, Yeti. Last question. Tomorrow, you guys are playing against Beast Coast. Any words you want to throw out there from anybody that's listening that's on that team? What should they be worried about, you guys?
No, I mean, they should be worried about us, and we're not worried about them. I mean, they just got to be ready. I hope they are.
All right.
Be nice to have a good game.
All right, well, Yeti, I'm going to leave the floor to you. Go ahead, give a shout out to the fans, viewers out there, and give them a reason why they should tune in tomorrow.
Well, shout out to the fans. Obviously, you know, we got a lot of supporters, a lot of haters. You know, we're pretty loud and rowdy at times, so people don't really like that. Some people do. It is what it is. Shout out to Sonic. Shout out to the new sponsors. You know, looking good out here. You can kind of see that one, but...
Wait, Yeti, can we get a flex for a moment before you go away?
That's all you
There we go. Yeti, congrats on the win. I love seeing you win, man, and I wish the best for you tomorrow. And hopefully we can have the same talk, same time tomorrow, okay?
Yes, sir. Same place, same time. I'll be here.
All right, man. You take it easy. You're looking good, by the way. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you, man. Love you.
All right.